Before we jump into conversation, I would like to acknowledge that all of us here in the U.S. are on stolen land. Whether you're on Ohlone land, where we stand now at Magic Theater, or on the unceded land of the Wappinger, also known as New York City, or anywhere in between, please take a moment now to honor the ancestral homelands you are inhabiting. I'd also like to say how strange it is to be back on the Magic set. This is Tanya Orellana's beautiful set for Don't Eat the Mangoes by Ricardo Perez Gonzales. We haven't been in the theater in so long. Kary Schulman, it's so good to see you. How are you?
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm fine, and coming up to the Magic and coming through the lobby and seeing the pictures and the posters, it was all so familiar and yet so unfamiliar.
Another lifetime ago.
Strangely, it was another lifetime ago, but it's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to be on this set, and I think that show could have run forever, and I'm so sorry that it didn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I should mention David Mendizábal, who directed that show so beautifully. We loved it. We never wanted it to end either. Kary, I don't know how you do it, but I have so many beautiful memories of you in this space. I don't even know if you're going to remember them all. I remember you here on this stage. At the top of the Brothers' Size, you came to deliver the key to the city to Terrell Alvin McCraney. That was such an amazing night. I remember you coming during our dinner break. It was Sam Shepard's 70th birthday, and we had 100 Bay Area artists downstairs in what is now Flax, and you came with a proclamation from the mayor to name that day Sam Shepard Day. I remember you and David Wiegand here for the opening night of the original Oedipus El Rey. So it's so good to see you. And I guess I want to ask you, why art? Why have you spent your life dedicated to mentoring and supporting culture in this city? Why?
Well, it seems kind of obvious. I mean, I could have dedicated my life to certified public accounting. I could have dedicated it to, a large number of other things, to being a mathematician, to being a ditch digger, to being a greeter at Walmart. I mean, there were many things, but art was always really important. And I thought for a while, because I was, as so many people are, they're the star of all of their high school plays. And so at first I thought acting, that's what I want to do. And I realized pretty quickly in college that I had good diction and a voice that carried, and I could memorize things, but I did not have the acting gene. And so I thought, well, I will support the arts. And then as I moved into doing some things with arts organizations and supporting arts organizations, I realized that the arts doesn't really do it. It's an individual play, an individual concert, an individual performance. Mm-hmm. It's those things. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the reasons why the arts community, have trouble communicating our message is because we say the arts, the arts, the arts, and people think, oh good, that is, and what it means to them is something good. But what I think it should mean is that moment when my heart stopped beating, when that happened on stage. Yes. Or that moment in that concerto or symphony when I was on the edge of my seat. It's those things.
I mean, this city is so tiny, but it's that's the thing that struck me when I first got here, is just the world-class culture of this beautiful little city is rather extraordinary and very much due to the work of Grants for the Arts.
Well, I think we do punch above our weight. That is certainly true in the arts. One of the things that made a huge difference was linking arts funding to the hotel tax.
Yeah.
That is the visitor dollar. So that the dollars that tourists brought in, visitors to the city brought in, were reinvested in having this banquet of activities for them to partake in once we got them here. So people would come back again and again and again, because there's always something new in San Francisco to see or do. So you are the artistic director of the Magic Theater, but all small and mid-sized theaters, you have other jobs. You have a significant administrative burden. You have pressures from the community, pressures from the board and staff, too many expectations and too few resources, and you know, I want to know how you handle that, and if it's still worth it after all these years from the dream that you had when you made theater your life in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a juggling act, right? I mean, it's probably not unlike your post of 38 years. Yeah, it's still worth it. I mean, this has always been one of my favorite theaters, this space. And it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do.
How did you know? How did you know that this was what
Do you know what?
wanted to
I
do?
knew when I was 7 years old. Seriously. My dad took me to a dress rehearsal of the musical of Oliver, the musical Oliver. And I just was completely mesmerized by what happens to a group of strangers when the lights go down. Mm-hmm. And there is nothing I have ever loved like theater since. And I think I go about being an artistic director. I always think not like what would I like to direct or what, I think about what I want to see, what I want to experience. And I feel like theater is the only place that you can exercise that transformative, just gut-wrenching experience of catharsis. And I have so many memories of not being able to get up out of my seat after a curtain. And so for me, it's all about that. It's about distilling the words and through the actor and then communing with the audience. It's all about emotional truth. And I think, I don't think about what we do as an intellectual transaction. I think about it as an experience, as the only experience that could happen that particular night, being in that room with that performance and the people around you. So I've never lost faith in it. Yeah. You in your time at Grants for the Arts, I think your roster was 220 arts organizations?
Give or take.
So, okay, I know it's hard to pick which sibling you like best, and I'm not going to ask you to do that, but it's so hard, so the triumphs are really juicy, and I'm wondering, what were some of your just moments that you still to this day relish?
Personally, I'm extremely proud of the trajectory of the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival, which started out as a little show that was produced in community centers around the city and has become this world-renowned activity, and it just breaks my heart that it can't happen now. And the 41st annual, which should have been this summer, couldn't happen. For the 40th anniversary, it was on the stage of the Opera House, the San Francisco Opera House, for the first time. And it's just a glorious experience. But to you too, I mean, I love all my children. We love all our children. But what stands out for you in your career?
It's true. I would say a couple of things. I would say when we mounted the Lily's Revenge, with 50 Bay Area artists of all walks. I mean, it was just the most exquisite community of humans. 50 people doing a 5-hour, 5-act with Kyogans in between. There was no ego. The company could have done it for another 2 months. They adored one another. But I remember being on this stage, it was about 3:20 a.m., and Sarah Huddleston and I had just concluded the director's notes because we had 6 directors. And we looked at each other and we said, if we can pull this off, we can do anything. And so that was a real moment. I mean, Taylor wrote that just that creation was so moving. And to conquer that, just, it gave us more chutzpah. That it didn't matter that we were a small theater. It didn't matter that we had a small budget, that we really, really could tackle anything. This has been so great, Kary. Thank you. It is so good to commune for real and not to just hear your voice or see your face on Zoom. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, I am so pleased to do it. And so grateful that the magic is honoring me, even though there's nothing I can do for you now.
We were determined we were going to honor you. By hook or crook, it was going to happen.
It's really, I'm quelling here. Beautiful.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.